Welcome to the latest episode of BAM Weekly. That's Boris and Matt Weekly. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and I'm joined by Matt.
Bonjour! How's everybody doing out there? We hope you're doing well. Boris, it feels like it's going to rain in Toronto. Hopefully we don't get hit by lightning here and lose our podcast like has happened in the past. But, man, how are you doing today? How are you hanging in there?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing great. I'm in a great mood. I'm happy. There's so much going on in the world right now. Sports-wise, wrestling-wise, entertainment-wise. It's a good time for everything and anything and everything. So on this week's BAM, we're going to be talking about the glory time of sports because we have MLB playoffs, we have some NFL chatter, NBA kickoff, and then in the wrestling side of things, we have a special preview to this weekend's Bound for Glory 2021. That's on Saturday. It's the biggest show of the year. That's Impact Wrestling Bound for Glory. We're going to be talking MLW, RoH, and then the main event is going to be New Japan Pro Wrestling, the climax of the G-1 Climax. And we're going to talk about the show that we watched earlier this morning.
Yeah, we can't dilly-dally too much because there's so many things to cover, but oh man, the New Japan gods giveth and the New Japan gods taketh away, Boris. What an incredibly emotional roller coaster of a G1 Climax final this morning. So many things going on.
Yep, it was a crazy show, and before we get into the sports talk, I want to take a second and just want to thank Bob Kapur of Slam Wrestling for coming on. He's going to join us in a little bit, and we're going to be talking about Impact with him, because as I'm going to say, he's either the number one fan or their one fan.
Rude. Drive-by shot to Impact Wrestling, but I like it. Impact is going to take a shot every now and then. It's a way to.
I think they've accepted that, right? But, at the same time, I feel like Impact needs a little more respect. They need some more eyes. And I'm hoping that happens this weekend because you just saw the card. It's a stacked card.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a pretty good show for Impact Wrestling. As Impact Wrestling shows go, man. It's not that bad.
All right, we're going to jump to NFL talk because I know you don't really want to talk too much NFL because our Dolphins might make the biggest mistake of their franchise. Well, maybe the second biggest mistake. I think when we got Dante Culpepper as quarterback was the biggest mistake when we said no to Drew Brees.
Yeah, that was the biggest Dolphins mistake of my lifetime. And the Tua thing is whatever. That's a mistake too. But yeah, I really don't want to be the team that I don't want to cheer for the team that trades for Deshaun Watson. And it seems like the Dolphins are circling Deshaun Watson again. I already cheer for the Montreal Canadiens, and they drafted Logan Maillet, which was a big to-do, Boris. So yeah, it's just, why are my teams the ones who are just, what's next? Are we going to sign O.J. Simpson? LOL. Probably not. I don't think he can run anymore.
Unless it's from the law.
But jings. Yeah, man, but it's just rough times for the Dolphins. Also, as longtime BAM listeners will remember, I traded for Christian McCaffrey in a league, and he immediately went on the IR. But Boris, I would still do that trade again. I traded Kyle Pitts and Sam Darnold for him, and Sam Darnold has kind of taken the old downward tumble, and McCaffrey hopefully will be back for the fantasy playoffs. So I would still do that trade, but goddamn you, football,
This has been such a win-lose type of week for you. Like when I saw that injury, I forgot to mention it to you and laugh at you because it was like you were so proud. You were so proud.
I was so proud. I was. Also, my roommate Fleetwood Brown is a big Cleveland Browns fan, and his team is not looking so great either. Nick Chubb, one of the best and most exciting running backs, hurt. Kareem Hunt also hurt. Baker Mayfield, who is not one of the best and most exciting quarterbacks, but he does get a lot of ad time. He's hurt. Odell Beckham's not quite the same person. Man, it's just it's hard times. The football sport is a rough sport, man, and these guys go down with injury, and it sucks.
All right, there's 3 games I want to talk about quickly. Number 1, poor London fans. They got the all-elite game, the Jacksonville Jaguars 0-20 in their last 20 versus the Miami Dolphins. And somehow, our Dolphins had to be the team to give the win to the Jaguars.
Yeah, looking at a draft pick this year, but yeah, hey, such is life. Good for Jacksonville. Tip of the cap to the Khan family, and they actually got I wouldn't call it a good game, but I think it was an entertaining game. Yeah. Some crazy moments, at least.
Yes, at the very least, right? And that's the thing about like NFL football, that, you know, sometimes it's those really bad two teams that can give you an entertaining game just because they're at the same level. All right, so that's number one. Number two, I feel, you know what fan base I feel sorry for the most besides the Dolphins? The Detroit Lions.
Oh, poor Lions. Yeah, Lions got their ass kicked by the Bengals last week. Not what you want to see, Boris. Yep. Not what you want to see.
And then, shocking for me, the Bills lost.
That was a really good game, and these things happen. Football is, if the Titans would have lost that game, that could have been their whole season. Like, the Titans really needed that game. You can't win them all. But I agree with that. It is a surprising result, but that was a very good game, hard fought. I bet if they played that game 10 times, Buffalo wins 7,
Yeah, and I love how they tried to go for the laterals again.
Definitely. Shout out to the past. Also, we do this thing where we ignore the Patriots, but an awesome game between the Cowboys and the Patriots. Went to overtime. It was the two public teams, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, versus America's most hated team, the New England Patriots. And man, that was a great football game.
Yeah, it really was. Man, the Patriots, I think, have some of the worst luck this year. Their record does not reflect how good or bad they actually are.
I agree with that, yeah. But hey, man, it's karma for once striking back on Bill Belichick.
Yep. All right, so that's that. Let's move on to some MLB. Dude, every team we predicted to move on lost, except for the Dodgers.
Yeah, though the Dodgers are hanging tough. But yeah, that's the baseball playoffs, man. You never know with these things. I don't think many people thought the Red Sox would have done so well. And it looked like they were going to blow the doors off Houston. But then Houston just came back and started blowing the doors off them. Like, you never know what you're going to get from game to game in this crazy baseball playoff, especially in the AL. It's been insane.
The AL is crazy right now. The NL, here's the thing about the NL. The Dodgers, look, I'm going to give a lot of credit to Atlanta Braves. They've built a fantastic franchise from the ground up. They have some fantastic young players. It's insane how young that team is when you take a look at the roster, similar to the Blue Jays, right? But Roberts, the worst manager in all of baseball beside Charlie Montoya. Like, this is ridiculous. He has no idea what he's doing. His bullpen, he's just not managing that bullpen whatsoever. They are exhausted. They're exhausted. When Scherzer goes out and says, I have dead arm right now. Let's put him on like as little rest as humanly possible. Like, what are you doing?
He's a horse, and they're riding their horses. They are feeling the loss of Kershaw, I do think, in this postseason. That's clear. Okay. Say what you will about Kershaw and his postseason record, but they're feeling his absence right now.
You know who else's absence I'm feeling right now? And
who's that?
You can say what you want about his playoff record, and that's David Price. He's not even on the roster right now.
That's a really good call, too. Definitely having that warm human body would be a lot of help.
Yeah, but that's the Dodgers. So that's MLB talk. Atlanta Braves leading 3-1. And then Houston and Boston, what is it? 3-2 for Houston?
3-2 for Houston, yes. And so Thursday night, 8 Eastern, the Braves play the Dodgers. And Friday night, 8 Eastern, Houston plays the Red Sox. They will both play on Saturday if both of those series continue. I hope we get at least 2 games on Saturday. That'll be good. So Let's go Dodgers, and God help me, let's go Red Sox.
All right, and like I said, this is the glory time of sports. We have playoffs, you have new seasons starting, and a new season just started 2 nights ago, and that is the NBA season. So Matt, you love writing stuff down. You love making bold predictions that we can shoot down because all of this is recorded, and I am keeping tab of everything we say. So let's talk some NBA.
So yeah, we're gonna quickly go through, Boris. I'm gonna go through my my NBA rankings here, go through the playoffs, give my awards. We'll go as fast as possible. You tell me if I'm tripping balls. So in the basketball sport now in the NBA, we have a play-in round. So basically, 10 teams in each conference out of 15 make the playoffs now.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna stop you right there. How do you feel about that? Let's get that. Let's have this conversation right now. How do you feel about the play-in round?
You know what is funny? I don't like it in basketball, but I would like it in hockey. I think hockey needs it because hockey has the overtime loser point, and so many teams have such inflated point totals that I think the NHL needs it more than the NBA. NBA is just straight up win-loss, and I like the fact that like the top 8 go on, and you know what I mean? But whatever. They're adding revenue. The play-in games are very exciting. I don't hate it. I don't hate the format. It's fine. It's okay. I would take it out if you gave me my choice, or I would just put it in the NHL.
Yep.
Because they're the ones who really need it if you're going to do it.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It's the win-loss versus the win-loss tie overtime win or whatever the hell it is. Anyways, let's talk NBA. Let's talk predictions. Matt, take it over.
Okay, so yeah, in no order in the Eastern Conference, here are the 5 teams that I have missing the playoffs: Orlando, Detroit, Cleveland, and the Washington Wizards, who just blew the doors off of Boris, our Toronto Raptors.
They blew the doors off, but the Raptors made a couple interesting runs to at least make a game out of it with 4 or 5 minutes left in the fourth.
Yeah, basketball is a sport of runs. But yeah, they did not run enough, unfortunately. So yeah, Washington, Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, Orlando. Sorry, Raptors, but I just think there's a lot of some good teams in the East. I don't think the Raptors will make the playoffs this year.
I agree with all of those except for one key team that you named. That's Orlando.
You think Orlando's going to be good this year?
I don't think they're going to be good. I think they're going to be the type of team that's going to squeak into 8th.
Okay, I can see that.
Or to 10th or whatever.
They would need a big year out of Markelle Fultz. They would need someone to take a really big step up. It's not insane, but I don't know. I could also see them being the worst team. Like, I personally think they might be closer to the worst than 8th. Now we'll see though.
Yeah. At the same time, I think that the difference between 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, dude, I think it's going to be a very interesting season. And I think just like, when in MLB they started having 2 wildcard teams, I think it's going to make for, at the very least, intriguing television.
I definitely think you're right about that, man. That's why it's in. Anyway, so let's go through it. Brooklyn's going to finish first in the East. They're sick. Even if Kevin Durant misses 20 games, if Harden is healthy and plays a full season, which realistically should happen, he's pretty reliable in that way, I think Brooklyn is easily going to romp to like 55 to 60 wins. Brooklyn first, Milwaukee second. I like Miami 3. Atlanta 4, the Knicks 5. I like the Knicks this year a little more than the Celtics at 6. Here's the play-in: Philadelphia, Chicago, Charlotte, and Indiana. So that's the top 10 in the East. Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami, Atlanta, New York, Boston, Philly, Chicago, Charlotte, Indiana. Those are your 10 playoff teams in the East.
All right. There's one team I want to talk about, and this is the team that, in my opinion, is the wild card of the wild card, and that's Philadelphia. I think Ben Simmons is going to be too much of a distraction to the team.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna. Yeah, I think if Embiid misses any games, they're totally toast. They're completely screwed. Ben Simmons is going to be a distraction. They're going to trade him in the middle of the season, and I think they're going to be way better in the second half than they are in the first half.
Yep, it's and the same can be said about Brooklyn, right? Like that whole situation, the Kyrie Irving situation, the I'm not getting a vaccine, so you're not playing, you're not going to be involved in the team situation is being turned into a huge political thing, and certain groups are kind of praising this guy at this point, which is kind of funny if you know kind of where his political beliefs are. But I think what I'm trying to say, I think that Brooklyn is also going to get a lot of attention, but they're New York City, so I think they can just power through it.
I think what you're trying to say is you never want to be on the same side as Donald Trump Jr., but that's neither here nor there, Boris. Okay, so yeah, I agree with everything you said though. It's going to be a lot to deal with, but I think Brooklyn's kind of getting back to basketball, and that's kind of why they cast Kyrie aside for the season at least. Anyway, so that's my East. Quickly in the West, I think that this is an easy 10 if New Orleans is good, but I'm worried New Orleans is going to have the year from hell. There's talk that Zion has come in like 30 pounds overweight and he's missing time, and this could be a really bad year for New Orleans.
I was reading a report earlier today that apparently he went into camp over 300 pounds.
Yeah, which he's a basketball player. He's not a WWE wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, so that gives me concern. So I do think the Pelicans will miss the playoffs. So here are my 5 teams who are out in the West. New Orleans, bad. San Antonio, bad this year. Oklahoma City, still bad. Houston, bad. And I think Minnesota is still pretty bad, Boris. And I think Minnesota is going to finish 11th. It just barely missed the playoffs in the West.
Yep, agreed with you 100% on those. Now, who are your top 10?
Top 10. Number 1, Utah, I think, is going to win the West again just by way of being a really strong regular season team. Number 2, Lakers. This is why they got Russ. Help coast them through the regular season.
Nope.
Number 3,
No. I think, okay, let's go through your list, and then I will give you why I think Lakers aren't going to be number 2.
Okay, fair enough. So number 1, Utah. Number 2, the Lakers. Number 3, I think the Warriors are going to put it all together, finish as high as 3rd. Number 4, Denver. Number 5, Phoenix. Number 6, I like Memphis to finish a little higher than people think. Number 7, Dallas. You can't put Luka any lower than 7. It might still be too low for Luka, but we're going to put him there. Number 8, Portland. Number 9, the Clippers minus Kawhi until playoff time. And number 10, the Sacramento Kings, I think, are going to squeak in over Minnesota, barely.
Yep. That list sounds pretty good, except for the Lakers. I think the Lakers aren't. I think they're going to be at the top 8, getting home field advantage, a home court advantage, I should say. But I don't think they're going to finish 1 or 2, and because they are not spring chickens anymore. I think
that's true.
The Lakers are going to play smart. I think they're going to give certain key players like Melo, like LeBron, certain days off. They're going to lose those games by a shit ton. They're going to squeak into the playoffs, get home court advantage. But the Lakers, they are built for the playoffs.
I agree with that part, man. But I do think that looking who is in the West, Phoenix might still be actually so good that I'm kind of underrating. I think Phoenix is going to take a slight step back in the season. We'll see. It's really hard to predict the NBA season, but I think the playoffs will shake down a little truer. Here are my playoffs. So in the play-in round, in the East, Philly and Chicago will make it through. In the West, Dallas and the Clippers will make it through. So that leaves us with a first round of the NBA playoffs. Brooklyn over Chicago. There's going to be a Philadelphia-Milwaukee series that I have circled here, Boris. We're going to get back to this one. Miami's going to beat Boston. We're going to get a replay of the Knicks and Atlanta first-round series that was so awesome last year. But this year, Trae Young loses. Spike Lee vanquishes Trae Young.
Yep. That's going to be interesting.
So this Philly versus Milwaukee series, Milwaukee defending champions. Giannis is a one-man show. They do have other guys, obviously. They do have Drew, and they do have some Chris Middleton is awesome. But it's a one-man show. It's Giannis. I think they're going to be a little tired, and Philly's going to make that late-season trade. I think Philly upsets Milwaukee in round 1 of the playoffs. I'm calling it now.
Nice. I can see that. I can honestly see that happening because, like you said it right there, Giannis. It is a one-man show in Milwaukee. Say what you want. There's only one person who literally brings them the championship.
Yeah, exactly right. Speaking of crazy upsets, Kawhi's coming back for the playoffs, so Clippers over Utah, of course, given. Lakers versus Dallas would be a first-round series in this universe. I'm taking the Lakers in 7 hard-fought games there. Wouldn't surprise me to see Luka upset Braun if that comes to pass. There would be a Golden State versus Memphis series, which would be awesome. I'm taking Golden State over Memphis. And Denver over Phoenix. I think Phoenix is fake. I don't believe in Phoenix yet, despite the fact that they made the final last year. Prove me wrong, son.
So they're the Belgium of the NBA.
Yes, exactly. I guess that makes what does that make Devin Booker Lukaku? I don't know enough about soccer.
Yeah, exactly it. That's exactly it.
Thumbs up. Okay. So second round of the playoffs, I would have Brooklyn over the Knicks and a Philly-Miami series. And if I'm riding Philly, I'm going to go Philly over Miami. Then we would get a Clippers-Denver series. And I think the Clippers would avenge their loss to Denver in the playoffs a couple years ago. We're going Kawhi Death Beast mode. Lakers-Golden State series. That's another tough one. I'm going Lakers. I'm going the LA final. Lakers versus Clippers in the West, and in the East, Brooklyn versus Philly, and we're going to get the Brooklyn Lakers final. And Boris, Kevin Durant, and James Harden, and maybe Kyrie Irving, but probably not, are going to win the NBA title. Brooklyn over Lakers in 6 games, winning the title, hoisting the belt in the Staples Center.
You bastard. I can honestly.
I can throw in that last part.
I know. I can honestly see that happening, to be 100% honest. Yeah, Philly or Brooklyn are my 2 choices for the East, and the LAs for the West. What happens there? I don't know. I can't predict, but that's that. So those are your NBA predictions for this year here on BAM. Matt, I think we should go into wrestling because we have tons of wrestling to cover.
Yeah, I 1,000,000% agree. Let's actually, quickly before we go, MVP Durant, 6th man of the year. I kind of like Jordan Poole from Golden State, swaggy Poole, although he might start too many games to qualify. Most improved, since we're Toronto boys, Boris, we got to put our fucking hats in the OG Anunoby ring. OG, go get that most improved trophy, young man.
Yep. Agreed 100%. Yeah, so okay, we're gonna move on to wrestling right now because like I said, we have tons to cover. MLW, RoH, New Japan, Impact. Man, we watch way too much wrestling. But before we do that, I do want to talk about the PWI Women's 150. Pro Wrestling Illustrated surprisingly released a list of the top 150 female performers for 2021, and I have the top 10 right here in front of me. Let's go through them. So number 10, Raquel Gonzalez from NXT, our homegirl. Number 9, we have Tam Nakano from Stardom. From number 8, Io Shirai from NXT. Number 7, Sairui from Stardom. Number 6, Sasha Banks, WWE. Number 5, Thunder Rosa, AEW. Number 4, Britt Baker, AEW. Number 3, Deonna Purrazzo from Impact. Number 2, Utami Hayashishita, Stardom. And number 1, Bianca Belair, WWE.
So these are kayfabe rankings, right? Like they're meant to be,
yes.
If wrestling were real kind of rankings.
Yeah.
So I respect. I like the top 2. I can see it for sure. I think, God bless her, we love Thunder Rosa around here. Thunder Rosa's way too high because she loses all the time, and that's not. It's not her fault. It's fake. But like, she's a great performer, but nobody ever books her to win wrestling matches.
Number 6.
How could she be so high?
Yeah, number 6, Sasha Banks. She missed more than half the year. How can she be on this list?
Pretty ridiculous. But it's PWI. They're just for funsies, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to go through that list because it was released earlier today. So we're gonna jump to Ring of Honor. It is the road to Final Battle, December 11th, 2021. Final Battle, biggest show of the year in Baltimore. This TV show did not reflect the fact that we are on the road to Final Battle, but certain things did happen at the very end. So this show has started off with an RoH World Tag Team Championship match as La Facción Ingobernable, Kenny King, and Dragon Lee, your champs, went up against SOS of Shane Taylor Promotions, Moses, and Khan. To no one's surprise, La Facción Ingobernable won, but dude, SOS, they're so freaking good. This is a very, very fun, fast-paced match. Went just under 14 minutes. I really liked this, but again, the result was just known from the get-go.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind of feels like that. But hey, these things happen in wrestling. Like sometimes, like, you know what I mean? Not everything could be a main event match. That's we have been singing the praises of the SOS for a long time around these parts. So I'm glad to hear that they're still continuing to impress.
Yep. So I would give this match 3 handshakes out of 5. So yeah, that's that.
Fair enough.
All right, then the main event was the Foundation, Jay Lethal, Jonathan Gresham, Red Titus, and Tracy Williams versus Eli Ism, Taylor Rust, Joe Keys, and the world-famous Cheeseburger.
The world-famous CB.
Yep. So this match, I don't understand the point of this match. It seemed very random, but then I remembered all of these wrestlers are in the pure division. So as the entrances were happening, the team of Eli Ism, Rust, Keys, and CB, they basically said that their motivation was Jay Lethal's promo from the pay-per-view about pure wrestling and the history of the pure division and the love of that division, etc., etc., etc. But this match went 17 minutes. The Foundation won. Once again, the result, not surprising whatsoever, but here we are. Fun little match.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like a solid little match, and any dose of the world-famous CB is good. Good with me here at BAM. I think that guy is tremendously underrated.
You know who's really underrated? Taylor Rust.
Yeah, he's as they say, a good hand, but that feels more insulting than a compliment. He is a great wrestler. He's really, really good at this.
Yep, so after the match, we saw a promo that showed Vinny Marzaglia wearing a blast crown talking about pure wrestling and the pure division. So there we go. It looks like we finally have a new contender for the pure championship. And also, now we have a clear road for La Faction, King, and Lee to face the original Kingdom, Ben and Taven, at Final Battle.
Your boys!
My boys. Man, I just want... You know what the perfect trios would be? If Cora Jade were to join them.
Trey Baxter and the OGK managed by Cora Jade squashing Legato in 2 minutes.
It would happen. It would happen. It would happen. So next week, we have 3 matches already announced. Red Titus versus Tony Deppen. Jay Lethal versus Homicide, which I think is going to be fantastic. And we have Chris Dickinson and Brody King versus Jonathan Gresham and Tracy Williams.
Jay Lethal versus Homicide. 2008 called. Wants its main event back. Snark. No, I'm just kidding. That sounds dope. I would watch that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's fun times right there in RoH. Again, overall, this show, I don't know. It just didn't feel like it was on the road to Final Battle. I know we still have like a month and a half to it, but I feel like we should really start getting a better picture of what the matches are going to be. And I feel like overall, this show just really didn't develop too much.
Just killing time, it kind of sounded like.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on to MLW, because we now are on the road to their big November 6th show in Philadelphia. It is their War Chamber match. So that match is actually going to be Alex Hammerstone's team, so Team Hammerstone versus Contra. That's essentially what they're building towards.
Interesting. I don't know. The War Games concept, it was very exciting for a long time because it was new, but I do kind of feel like we've hit our fill of War Games matches now as wrestling fans. I don't think it's as exciting and shocking as it was even like 5 years ago. I think we're okay. I think we're good with War Games matches.
Agreed 100%. But, I gotta say, so watching MLW, I'm really loving the Cesar Duran story. They're basically... they're highlighting how shady of a past he's had and how he's had shady deals and how he's a shady character. And they're really trying to use Alicia Atut a lot with this. So that's been a lot of fun. That story is being told week over week. And now they're kind of hinting at this allegiance of Cesar Duran and Contra.
That's man, Cesar Duran is such an incredible performer. He's honestly like a better version of Eric Bischoff, who himself was a great performer too. But Duran is a special talent in terms of mic skills and delivery, and he's so great.
Yep, exactly. And also, so the Opera Cup is going on, and the matches have been pretty fun. I'm going to quickly talk about them. But next week's show is actually going to feature a match that I'm really looking forward to, and that's your favorite wrestler, Bobby Fish, going up against Lee Moriarty.
The insurrectionist, Bobby Fish.
Yep, yep. So that's really cool. I'm really liking the Opera Cup. Now, there is one thing on MLW which I just don't get. I don't understand why they're even giving this person any airtime whatsoever. And that's their teasing an Enzo appearance.
Enzo Amore. So you're anti-Enzo? You're out on Enzo?
I just don't care about him enough, and I don't think he's going to fit in MLW.
I think he was, I don't know. I think he was a good promo, and his alleged things that happened were not true, right? Like he's not an actual criminal. He's just kind of an idiot.
Yeah,
I
he's
believe,
more of an idiot. He's more of an idiot than anything else. But yeah,
I think it'd be okay to see Enzo get a chance again on a major stage. Although Major League Wrestling is very much minor league, unfortunately. But it's a stage. It is a stage. So I'm okay with this. I kind of hope he gets in there and kills it.
Yeah. What's interesting though is I don't know. I really don't know what I think about him at the end of the day. So, one thing I did want to bring up about MLW is their production. I know it's an independent production. I have the same issues with Ring of Honor in terms of the look and the feel and the camera quality and stuff like that and the darkness of the stadiums. But my issue is more on the production TV side. Watching an MLW show is so entertaining. The matches are fun. The matches are pretty good for the most part. They have very entertaining stories and progression of stories. They do a great job with wrestling stories. But it feels like I'm playing a WWE 2K game. You know, you have the cuts of the angles constantly. And then when something cool happens, literally, it's like, replay. Last week, Tank Man was facing Lee Moriarty, and honest to God, every minute and a half, replay.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I haven't been watching MLW. I haven't seen too much of it in my life, but I do enjoy the bit that I see. So I'm kind of disappointed to hear that. It seems like, they're getting a little busy on the production side of things.
Yep, exactly. So, so that's been going on. So, I think the things I really want to highlight. So from the October 13th show, the opening round match of the Opera Cup, we saw Tom Lawler versus Davey Richards. That's the must-watch match from the October 13th edition of MLW Alpha Fusion. Such a good match. Very fun match. Davey Richards pulls off the upset victory over Tom Lawler. I would give this match 3 3/4 something.
Court Bowers. Yeah. 3 3/4 people's courts.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Love some filthy Tom. He's great at this. And Davey Richards on the comeback trail. It's exciting to see him back in the wrestling world, having some good matches. That's dope. Right on.
Yeah. And then this week we saw Calvin Tankman versus Matt Cross. Again, another fun little match. Calvin Tankman seems to be getting quite the push. He did beat Lee Moriarty last week. He won this week against Matt Cross. Tankman now advances to the semifinals of the Opera Cup.
Calvin Tankman, huge dude. He is indeed a tank man. Interesting.
Yep. And then also we saw the main event, saw the Caribbean Championship. Your champion, Richard Holiday, after getting jumped at the start of the show, he comes back and he faces King Muertes. Alicia Toot and Cesar Duran were sitting at ringside because, again, the whole Contra stuff seems to be going on and really overpowering the show. Maybe a little too much. It seems like, you remember like 1997, 1998 WCW when every single angle involved NWO?
Yeah.
That's what this feels definitely like. It's a little too much.
That's no good.
A little too much Contra.
little bit of overkill, and they're not exactly the NWO either. Like the NWO, at least were entertaining and had stars.
Well, yeah, exactly. So we have a new Caribbean champion. King Muertes beat Rich Holiday. So that was that. Those were the two shows that I wanted to kind of touch on.
Nice. Well, yeah, Major League Wrestling hanging in there. I do love some King Muertes. That's cool.
Yep. All right, we are now going to move on to Impact. But Matt, as we talk some Impact, it's only appropriate for us to bring their number one fan or their one fan. I don't know what to say sometimes. And that is Slam Wrestling's Bob Kapur. Bob, thank you for coming on BAM.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me. I don't know if I'm, I was remarking to someone the other day, Impact Wrestling, through its, TNA roots and up to today, it's actually doubled the length of time that ECW existed.
Yep.
Double.
You know what?
Yeah, it's like 20 years versus a 10-year run for ECW. And it's kind of remarkable, right? It's like the little engine that could. It keeps on going. It flies under the radar, but they put on, I still think some very good product.
Yeah, honestly, it's just like Michael Corleone. Right when you think it's gone, they pull you back in. Like, it's always around. There's always a revival. It's a company that just chugs along and keeps going. And I can't believe that next year we're celebrating 20 years of TNA / Impact / whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. It's like you said, yeah, the little engine that could it's one way to put it for sure. I'm just gonna quickly run through this card, just matches 1 through 8, and then after I'm done, Bob, you tell us what match you are most looking forward to. So we have the tournament final for the intergender 6-way Impact Digital Media Championship the Impact Digital Media Championship is the belt. It is an intergender 6-way match. John Skyler versus Crazy Steve versus Falaba versus Jordan Grace versus Chelsea Green versus Tennille Dashwood. Very interesting match on the pre-show. We have the Good Brothers of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson versus Finn Juice or the Bullet Club in a tag team match for the Impact World Tag Team titles. We have Violent by Design, which is Eric Young, Diener, or Joe Doring versus Heath and a partner to be announced in a tag team match. We also have for the Impact Knockouts tag team titles, Decay, Havoc, and Rosemary, love some Rosemary here in Toronto, versus the Inspiration, the former Iconics, Cassie Lee and Jessica McGay. We have for the X Division title a 3-way match, Trey Miguel versus Steve Macklin versus LP, El Phantasmo. Excited for that one. We have a Call Your Shot gauntlet match, which is something of a Royal Rumble type concept. The winner receives a trophy and a contract that they can invoke anytime within the next calendar year for a championship match of their choosing. We have announced for that Rich Swann, Brian Myers, Moose, W. Morrissey, Chris Sabin, and a bunch of other guys, I'm sure. And then we kind of have a double main event here, I feel. Singles match for the Impact Knockouts title. Deonna Purrazzo versus Mickie James. Really strong match there. And the real main event, the actual main event, Impact World title. Option C, Josh Alexander versus Christian Cage.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty stacked card. This is their biggest show of the year, as they like to bill Bound for Glory. So it's not surprising that everyone's going to be on it. Either through the matches or the gauntlet match.
Right.
The ones I'm looking forward to, you asked, I think both the World Championship match and the Knockouts Championship match are the ones I'm really looking forward to. Of the undercard, I suppose the one I'm intrigued by is the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. And that's really just because I love the Inspiration, as they're called now, the former WWE Iconics. I think they're a great pair. I think that they should not have been let go from WWE. I think that was a bad decision to let them go, because I think those two had great potential, particularly for a division that's hurting for tag teams. And I think it's a good move for them, or for Impact, to pick them up. And I assume that they're going to win the championship. It doesn't make any sense if they don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be very shocked. Like, but sometimes bringing in new talent, especially someone so fresh with so much hype, you have to give them the belt day one, which, can lead to other issues, but. I think it's the right move at the end of the day. Personally, I'm actually looking forward to the X Division Championship match. My boy, Trey Miguel, the other must-see kid versus Steve Macklin and El Fantasmo. Like, that, to me, is going to be a fantastic match. Really looking forward to this one. But I want to ask you, the Impact Digital Media Championship. What is this all about for our listeners who have no idea?
Well, I think it's a way to help plug the new YouTube subscription service that they have, and I guess to some extent the Impact Plus streaming service that Impact has had. But they've moved; they're no longer airing on Twitch, so now if you want to watch them online, it's through one of those services. So I believe it's really a way to promote that. I personally am not a big fan of that type of title. I don't think that, number one, I don't think that Impact has a roster that's large enough to support that many titles. Like another singles title doesn't make a lot of sense. I did like the intergender aspect of it to some degree. If I had to pick a winner, I'd say Tenille Dashwood. The gimmick and the character that she has, which is all about influencing, makes sense for her to win. But it wouldn't surprise me, given Chelsea Green's husband and his success in these types of things, for them to put on Chelsea Green as well. So I think one of the women wins it, though, one of those two, but my money's on Chelsea.
Yeah, same here. Chelsea Green, I think, is going to win just because of Matt Cardona influence there, and literal influence in terms of his social media presence and just the way that he's been able to just completely reinvent himself. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but like the hate that both of them got at the last GCW show was absolutely phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, and I've never been a big fan of his. I mean, I couldn't stand him in WWE. I'm not really a big fan of him in Impact, but I did like the stuff that he did in GCW just because it was so different from his normal persona, and he really embraced the hate to nuclear levels.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's focus on two matches, because I think these two matches have had probably the best story, not only in Impact, but some of the best stories in wrestling, period, over the past calendar year. And we're going to start with the Knockouts Championship match, Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James. This match was really starting to get set up over the summer. They had the respect angle going. Then, obviously, Deonna Purrazzo turned on her, and now they're going to fight each other on Saturday. Deonna Purrazzo's been champion for over a year. What do you think is going to happen? Will this cement her as one of the best knockout champions, or are they going to give it to Mickie James?
Well, I don't think that she has to be cemented as one of the best knockout champions. I think she's already there. She's had a tremendous year. She's fantastic in the ring. And I know this is another case where Impact flies under the radar. The fact that more people don't know about Deonna, and it's a shame that the forbidden doors being open with AEW have not given her an opportunity to be seen on by a larger audience, because I think she is a real just a phenom in the female division in any company right now. I don't think that she should lose the title. I like Mickie James, but at this point in Mickie's career, she should be helping women, younger women, make their own, carve out their own legacies. So yeah. I think it would be a disservice for Deonna to lose it to Mickie, who, again, number one, isn't with the company full time. Number two, it just seems like it would be done just for the sake of doing a title switch, but I don't think that it should happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's one of those things where, it would make sense for Deonna Purrazzo to win. She should win, but we are talking about Impact, and I'm not trying to make fun of them, but they have questionable booking at times just for the sake of it, and that's the only thing that worries me. But I'd say over the past 12 to 18 months, Impact has been booked fairly well, fairly straightforward, fairly logical. So I feel fairly confident that Deonna Purrazzo will win. But honestly, the build-up and the story to this match is going to be great, and I just want more eyes on Deonna Purrazzo. Like, she is such a fantastic, phenomenal talent. So, hopefully, like you said, and I know you've complained about this on the SNME boards and the Slam boards and other places, and that is that the Forbidden Door needs to include more women, because more eyes need to be on some of the talent, especially like Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah, the only reason I could see them trying to mix it up, number one, Mickie is in terms of impact, her history there is pretty remarkable. So they might do that just as a nostalgia pop. The other thing is Deonna's beaten everybody in the division. There's really no one who poses a challenge to her, even perceptually. There's no one who can pose a challenge to her. So they might put it on Mickie just to shake things up a little bit. But then what do you do with Deonna? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But I have a theory going into this match, and you triggered that theory when you said that she's beaten everybody. So I do believe that Deonna Purrazzo will win, and I do believe that the Forbidden Door will be opened. After the match, I can see someone making an appearance to challenge Deonna Purrazzo. Someone like, the NWA Women's Champion. It's a Hirsch. Like, I can see something major happening like that at this point.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. The more eyes on her, I think, the better for women's wrestling in general.
Sorry, and I meant Camille. So Camille's the current champion. Yeah. But yeah, I can see something like that happening. But yeah, I'm very interested in this match. But we've talked about this over IMs. We've talked about this in some other places. And that is maybe the best story, not only in Impact, but all of wrestling, is the booking and the build-up to Josh Alexander's world title shot. I'm really looking forward to this match.
Yeah, and you guys are, I believe, Toronto-based, so you've seen Josh Alexander, as I have, from, I'd say, I've been watching him from relative infancy in terms of his wrestling career.
Yeah.
And the journey he's been on in real life, right, with the neck injury and retirement, and to see what he's done, transform himself physically, mentally, I think emotionally, just the man and then the person and the professional wrestler that he is today is just it's just makes me overwhelmingly happy for him, because I know Josh personally and just a real good guy, and to see what he's done in Impact has been phenomenal, because he's one of those guys who they gave him the opportunity to run with the ball, and by God, he has run with that ball. The story, like you said, the transition, because when he came to Impact, he was partnered with Ethan Page as part of the North, and they had great tag team success. But then, when Page left to go to AEW, Josh, the singles career he's carved out for himself, the way he's elevated the X Division, the matches he's had, boy, has he earned this title opportunity.
Yeah, just to think that just a few years ago he wasn't even allowed to travel in the U.S. Like, it's crazy to see, like you said, all the adversity that he's really come over just to get to this point. And, this is the Josh Alexander crowning show. Like, this has to be it, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. There's no better time, there's no better way to finish this chapter of that story than, and I wouldn't say climax, because I think he's got far more ahead of him than he has behind him. But in terms of telling this story, it's the right way to end it is a win. And I will say this, it's got to be a clean win, right? I'm afraid, this is my fear, is that somehow the Elite or someone from AEW who Christian's been feuding with there will get involved and, cost Christian the victory, which I think would diminish the significance of Alexander's win. So I'm hoping they do the right thing, have him pin Christian 1, 2, 3, or submit him right in the middle of the ring.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, it should be a really good match, if nothing else. Two awesome wrestlers, two good Canadian boys, Christian Cage and Josh Alexander. Very, very excited for that one. I'm just looking at this Call Your Shot gauntlet match with so many 15 competitors at this moment to be announced. Do you think we're going to get a big surprise? Could this be Braun? Could this be Bray? Could it be even a Buddy Murphy, somebody? Or are we just going to get maybe some legends? Or how do you think they're going to handle these to be announced competitors?
Well, I think it'll be a good combination of all three. I think wouldn't surprise me for this to be an intergender match too, just to put everyone else who is not on the card on the card. I think that this is where you'll see a debut, and if it's Braun Strowman, or I think he might be going by Titan, that this would be a great way to introduce him. Particularly, I think it's W. Morrissey, right? I'd like to see him square off against W. Morrissey, because two big giant, mountain, like real life mountain men,
Yes.
in terms of their size, particularly compared to the rest of the roster. So I think that this is a good way to do it. I always have a thing, and I've talked about this on the SNME board as well, where you have a battle royal where you have this type of match with surprise entrance, and then someone huge comes in and they don't win. I want to see if Strowman or Titan does come in, I'd like to see him actually win and make him, this is a threat. I'm coming in and I'm a big deal.
Yeah, look at how well AEW handled Ruby Soho's debut, right? Like, it works. Putting someone over on their first night just works sometimes.
And and I think you use it sparingly, but when you do it, not to forget the pun, but it's got to make an impact.
I love it.
Hey.
Love it. And on that note, I think we are going to move on to some more wrestling chatter. But Bob Kapur, thank you so much for joining us, talking some Impact. It's Bound for Glory this Saturday, October 23rd, pay-per-view fight. Anywhere you will be able to watch it. I will be watching. We'll be chatting about it next week. Bob, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, guys, for having me. Don't forget, it's a 10 p.m. Eastern start, so it's 3 hours or 2 hours later than normal. But I'll be there, and you can follow the coverage after the fact on slamwrestling.net. And thanks, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Always welcome, Bob.
All right, I just want to thank Bob for joining us. That was a lot of fun. Bound for Glory. Matt, I got to admit, I'm a little excited for it.
Oh, nice, man. That's good. Hey, man, I'm not going to make fun of you, but I am silently judging. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, I'm excited for it too, man. Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander. Are you kidding me? It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it live, but I'm going to watch it eventually.
Same.
It's a late
I'm
start.
gonna watch.
It's a late start.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that match, the main event for sure, and you let me know if there's anything else worth watching, buddy. I might check out the Royal Rumble thing.
Always. All right. Now it's time for the main event, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the climax of the G1 Climax. Man, oh man, we had some interesting shows over the past week, but the finals, like you said at the start, the wrestling gods giveth, the wrestling gods taketh away.
Yeah, man, it's so crazy, like a roller coaster of emotions. This G1 started with an injury to Tetsuya Naito, and it ends with an injury to Kota Ibushi. We see the dramatic, unannounced return of Katsuyori Shibata in a wrestling ring. Katsuyori Shibata himself is almost a Shakespearean tragedy of pro wrestling, a man who went out on his shield, a man who died by the hand of his own sword, literally in the wrestling ring almost. He almost died in the fucking ring, Boris.
Damn.
This is
Yeah.
It was just a crazy few days for New Japan. So we're going to get into the final three G1 Climax shows. We're not even going to go through the whole show today, just touch on a couple matches. But let's start with G1 Climax A Block Final. It is night 17 from October 18th, 2021. The first match of the G1 here was Ishii versus Yano, Tomohiro Ishii versus Toru Yano. Both men come in mathematically eliminated. Ishii 5-3, Yano 4-4. Yano pins Tomohiro Ishii in this match with a backslide in 11 minutes and 8 seconds. Ishii remains incredible as a worker. Fun match for what it was. But why was it what it was?
I have no idea. I had zero time for this match.
At this stage of the game, I completely understand that,
But
man.
I go
Go
back
ahead.
to what I was talking about last week, my friend, and that is how you can make the G1 more interesting at the end, because I found myself really having a hard time watching these shows outside of the two finals of the two blocks and the actual finals this morning.
That makes a lot of sense. For some reason, I enjoyed the night 17 more than 18. I was feeling that burnout a lot during night 18. But yeah, so our next match, I actually kind of thought this was pretty clever. IWGP Heavyweight Champion Shingo Takagi versus the Tokyo Pimps Yujiro Takahashi. Shingo wins the group with a win in this match, and he needed Zack Sabre and Kota Ibushi to lose, and Shingo would win the group. Yujiro was, for all intents and purposes, in last place coming into this thing. You'd think on paper it would be a crushing, but Shingo and Yujiro go to a double count-out draw, Boris, in 13 minutes and 36 seconds. And I actually quite liked the finishing stretch where that led to the double count-out.
Yep. It was okay in the grand scheme of things. That was whatever. It was what it was. They tried to add some drama here, but I just don't feel like it worked.
That's fair. I do think it kind of worked. Not to like a great extent or anything. I would go three New Japan climaxes out of 5. 60% climax percentage on this one. I thought it was pretty solid. You know?
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
All right. Next up, Tanga Loa versus Zack Sabre Jr. So Zack Sabre Jr. wins the group with a W and a loss from Kenta, or a W here and a draw from the Kenta versus Kota Ibushi match. So basically, it shook down. So if Zack Sabre Jr. were to have won this match, it would have been impossible for Kota Ibushi to win the block. So knowing that coming in kind of telegraphed the finish to this one. And unfortunately, Tanga Loa pins Zack Sabre Jr. with a roll-up reversal in 17 minutes and 31 seconds.
This pissed me off.
I understand.
And I don't want to take anything away from Tanga Loa. I think him and Tama Tonga have had an amazing G1, but at this stage in the game, I just feel like Zack Sabre Jr. should have been beaten by, more of a Boston Red Sox or New York Yankees as opposed to Baltimore Orioles type wrestler.
I understand. But Tanga Loa, at least, is having a really, really, really strong tournament. He is now a player in New Japan. I think he's he's shown that he can have good matches with the best wrestlers, at least, which is good enough in New Japan. That's all you need.
Question. Do you put Gorillas of Destiny back together, or do you let them have good singles runs?
I think at this point, split them up for a bit anyway. It doesn't have to be forever. But yeah, split them up. Let them see if they can fly on their own, Boris. But yeah, so I thought this was a strong match overall. We're going to go 3 3/4 climaxes out of 5, 75%. But yeah, I was just sad for Zack Sabre Jr. in the moment. But seeing how the G1 final actually shook out and what they gave Zack Sabre Jr. to do on that show, it kind of worked out for the best.
I kind of feel like this was, okay, you're not going to win the tournament, but you're going to get this.
Yeah, no doubt. So the main event of night 17, the A block final, Kota Ibushi versus Kenta. So it shook down at this moment that with Sabre Jr.'s loss and Shingo's tie, this was winner goes on, basically. The winner of this match will win the block and move on to the final. So yeah, the story of this match was, it was kind of interesting in a meta sort of way, but it's not the kind of thing you need to actually go out and watch then, Kenta came in saying he doesn't want to have a good match. He wants to just beat Kota Ibushi in the cheesiest way possible. He just wants the win. And Chris Charlton on commentary actually said the words, he's using the WCW NWO revenge strategy, Boris, which is not something you ever want to hear in a main event. He's just trying to win with a cheesy count out. So this was an interesting match, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a good match,
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Get it.
Kota Ibushi pins Kenta with the Kamigoye in 26 minutes and 16 seconds. You couldn't call it bad, but I wouldn't call it good. So we're going Mendoza line 2.5, 50% for the A block final here. And Kota Ibushi moves on by way of his win over Kenta here. Kota Ibushi 7-2, 14 points, wins the G1 Climax A block.
Yep. Once this happened, once I saw Ibushi win, I kind of knew how the other block was going to go.
Yeah, you kind of saw it exactly, playing out exactly in front of your eyes. I I kind of saw it in slow motion as soon as the show was laid out the way it was with Zack Sabre Jr. I didn't think Kenta was going to win the group. I was hoping Sabre would, but here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. Next up, we have the G1 Climax B Block Final, Boris. Night 18 from Wednesday morning, October 20th, 2021. First match, Yoshihashi versus Chase Owens. This is about as average as a New Japan match has ever been or could possibly be. Yoshihashi wins with Karma, which is his pump handle half Nelson driver. 8 minutes, 27 seconds. At least they were in and out. I almost want to rate it above average just for that fact alone. But it was an average New Japan match. Mendoza line 2.5 out of 5.
Yep, agreed.
Next match, oh my God. Okay, Hiroki Goto versus Tama Tonga. Both guys mathematically eliminated, but Tama Tonga is coming off by far the biggest win of his career over Kazuchika Okada in the fucking G1 Climax. He beat Okada in the G1.
Yeah, but, that's fine. And Chase Owens beat Tanahashi. So what?
Yes. So what? Exactly. Not only that, Boris, Goto is 6-0 lifetime versus Tama Tonga in singles matches. 6-0.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure Tama Tonga could have won this one. Goto could have afforded the loss.
At this point,
of course, Goto pins Tama Tonga with a roll-up in 15-19.
You know what's funny? Every single story, except for the Okada redemption, I should say, that we've predicted, we've gone completely wrong.
This is twice now, man, that someone wins the biggest match of their entire career and then immediately loses to Hiroki Goto.
Yeah.
That's twice they did that. They did this in this exact same tournament.
Yep.
Frig off. If Goto goes 3-6, Goto finished 3-6. If Goto goes 1-8 instead, it doesn't change a thing about New Japan Wrestling. It just kind of makes those two guys stronger. And it makes Goto more interesting because he's got something to fight for. He's got to prove that he's, better than this.
The unfortunate part, Matt, is that they've essentially told us who cares about the undercard.
And so we will continue to not care. But yeah, so a good match with a terrible cop-out finish. 3 climaxes out of 5. Goto did not need this win.
Exactly.
Next up, we have Tanahashi versus Tai Chi. This was very interesting. They flipped the script on me. Did not see this match layout coming. Tanahashi worked heel, working over the ribs of Tai Chi. Plucky babyface who fights back, shows fighting spirit, and out-wrestles Tanahashi to pin him with the Gedo clutch in 14 minutes and 58 seconds.
Yeah, this match was actually quite entertaining in the grand scheme of things. But again, I was taken away for this match. I gotta say, I was more on my mobile device than I was watching this match.
Yeah, this one actually did kind of hook me because I didn't see the layout coming. I love heel Tanahashi. It's like when John Cena creeps up with that heel line, like when he worked against Rob Van Dam in ECW. Sometimes he'll work more of a bad guy style, and that's always a treat.
Exactly. Especially against such a fan favorite, a cult fan favorite.
You said it, buddy. Okay, so next up we had Sonata versus Evil. Arg. Both guys mathematically eliminated. I did actually enjoy the start of this. Evil tried to ring the bell and forfeit, so Sonata ran out there and drove him back into the ring. And then they went 17 minutes and Evil won anyway. Lots of weapons, lots of distractions, just the typical Evil. No, I just can't do it anymore with Evil. It's just the same thing every time.
2 things about this match. Number 1, you see one Evil match, you've seen them all, and there's nothing evil about it. It's a lot of BS, a lot of weapons, a lot of ref interference, a lot of ref bullshit, just bullshit in general. Number 2, these two are arguably the worst performers in the tournament, and they gave them 17 minutes.
It's harsh on Sonata, but they're the 2 performers in the tournament that I have the least amount of time for at this moment. So
you know what? I shouldn't say worst performers, but I just don't care about them in general. Like
most boring acts.
Yes, worst acts. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Let's say that. I hate saying performer. I hate making fun of certain people's wrestling skills because look at us. So yes, the worst acts. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. Like absolutely ridiculous. Like they need to, just Evil needs to leave Bullet Club, or Sonata needs to join them and need to become a tag team again, because like these guys as singles, for me, they're just not working. Sonata had a great run a couple years ago, especially when he faced Okada, but who doesn't have a good match against Okada? And Evil, I don't know, he just hasn't worked in the grand scheme of things for me. And I think that Naito was the one who really, really helped him.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think Sonata would do well in the States. I think that's kind of where he should be focusing, maybe, is going across the pond and trying something new. I don't know. But yeah, in a vacuum, this match wasn't that bad. On the Dave Meltzer scale, is probably like around 3 stars. At this stage of the game, between two people who are mathematically eliminated, this felt like a colossal waste of our time on this precious earth. Boris, I'm going two climaxes out of 5, slight fail.
Yep, I'm gonna call this match the Joe Aguinaldo surprise, just because I know Joe. Just go out and watch this match. Just enjoy all 18 minutes of it.
Oh boy! All right, next up we had the best match we're talking about on the program today, Boris. Kazuchika Okada versus Jeff Cobb, B block final. Winner of this match wins their half of the G1. Jeff Cobb 8-0, Okada 7-1. Let's go.
All right. Where do we start with this match? This match was unbelievable. This match, I kind of feel like we were talking about this earlier. Okada, he's the Ronnie Dangerfield of New Japan right now, because he doesn't get any respect anymore.
No respect, no regard either, Boris.
And I feel like we who follow it closer, we obviously do respect, but I've seen in certain circles where people, honestly, that's why I call Kazuchika Okada Reigns after Roman Reigns, because people are just bored of him. People think he's been at top for too long, yada yada yada. There's a lot of reasons why a lot of people just, like, I don't want to say don't like him, but are bored of him. But this match should remind everyone that aside from Tanahashi, he is the ace of New Japan for this generation.
I think he's the best choice to face Shingo at Wrestle Kingdom. I think he was the best choice to win this G1. I called it from the get-go.
You did.
I said he was going to win. I thought he was going to. And I'm glad he is, man. I think this is the right choice. I think he's incredible. I think he's become underrated because he's become slept on. He's like a LeBron James or even a Kevin Durant or to some extent a McDavid, but I think we appreciate McDavid in Canada. But he is so good that we can't see. We're too close to the elephant. We can't see how brilliant this man is.
Yeah, agreed 100%. But here. Let's have this conversation right now. I believe that New Japan is putting themselves in a very interesting, particular situation that could hurt them in the long run. And I don't want to take anything away from Okada. I think that the redemption story that they're going to tell between now and Wrestle Kingdom is going to be great. After we talk about the finals, I want to talk about his post-match comments, because he made some very interesting post-match comments that I know is going to affect Wrestle Kingdom. So here's the thing, though. I'm happy that Okada won the grand scheme of things. I think, like you said, he was the best choice. We got the redemption story. But you had the opportunity to build new stars in New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's something that the pandemic has really hurt New Japan for. And you had Zack Sabre Jr. on probably some of the best matches of his career. And you had Jeff Cobb giving probably the best performance in G1 in years. 8-1. 8-1 the man went. Not only did he go 8-1, but he was able to just have fantastic matches. I would say that at least 7 of those matches were 4+ stars.
That's I forget. We'd have to go through it. I don't know if it's that many, but yeah, man, he's really, really good. And it's just sad how they don't seem to want to take risks. And the one time they did take a risk and try to risk it all to elevate someone up the card, it was Evil. That's the one person that they do actually push their chips behind. I just don't understand.
Yeah, like there's certain people that they put their chips behind, all the bread in the basket, as I'll say, and it just doesn't work out for me or a lot of the fans. But then you have these natural worldwide stars in Jeff Cobb, in Zack Sabre Jr., and you're not giving them the opportunity to sign. And I don't know, I just feel like in a few years, New Japan, even in a few months, in a year from now, New Japan's going to be in a weird situation where it's like, who's next? Where do we go from here? I don't know. I'm very concerned about this, and I honestly feel like they had the golden goose opportunity right now to create new stars, to have a fresh face going into Wrestle Kingdom. Like, are they afraid of putting Zack Sabre or Jeff Cobb against Shingo as the main event of Wrestle Kingdom?
Afraid maybe is not the right word, but yes, in a nutshell, yes. The short answer is yes. I think so. I think go with Okada. I think this redemption story, if they're telling it properly, has to end with Okada winning the title at Wrestle Kingdom. I think that's what's going to happen.
He has to. He will 100%. And like I said, I'm going to talk about his comments post G1 finals when we get there. So let's move on. Let's get to the finals. Let's talk about this. This emotional roller coaster. I haven't had so many emotions since the last breakup I've had.
Yeah, definitely. I just to dot the I and cross the T. Okada pins Cobb with the Rainmaker in 23 minutes, 35 seconds, wins the B block. 4.25 star match at least, Boris. 4.25 climaxes out of 5, 85%. It's a solid A. We'll be talking about it again in the best 121 of 121 list, I'm sure.
Yep, 100%.
All right. So yeah, G1 Climax final. It was this morning, October 21st, 2021. Two matches we really need to touch on. The first, there was a 5-minute exhibition. Zack Sabre Jr. came out after intermission. Zack Sabre Jr. came out rocking some interesting shorts, not his typical gear. And then Katsuyori Shibata's theme starts up. Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton lose their mind. Like, what's going on? Why is Shibata coming out? Why is that Shibata's theme? And then he's dressed to wrestle, which they lose their mind over more. And Katsuyori Shibata makes his dramatic return to the ring, Boris, has a wrestling match, a exhibition, they called it, a UWFI rules exhibition with Zack Sabre Jr. And they had a 5-minute grappling match, unannounced, at the G1 Climax final.
I climaxed a little.
The Boris Climax final. Yep. No, this was crazy. I can see now this cynical wrestling fan is going to say, why wouldn't they advertise Shibata's first match in years? But I could see two reasons for it. One, they didn't know if it would be good. They didn't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And two, they wanted to help remind you and help kind of train new viewers that the G1 Climax final is special. It's a huge event and crazy shit is going to happen on it.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Man, I want to see the ultimate take care of your opponent match. Bryan Danielson against Shibata.
Yeah, man. I think it's going to happen in some form, even if they do another like grappling exhibition like this. I do think we're going to see Danielson and Shibata do something somewhere down the line. But it's very interesting. So Shibata, they go to a draw. Nobody wins. Shibata gets on the microphone and says, the next time you will see me, it will be in a match. And he takes a flat back bump. So it seems like Shibata's back. It seems like he's healthy and he's going to do this.
Yeah, he's been training the wrestlers in the LA dojos, so he's obviously taking bumps. He's moving around more, but I don't know. He's like one of the guys where I just cringe every time he moves his head. Like, I'm talking from someone who has had countless numbers of concussions. Like, I should not play sports ever again. Type of number of concussions I've had, right? So, and I know the headaches I get. But I've never had a cracked skull,
Yeah, right. That's absolutely insane. A severe hematoma. He almost died, man.
Yeah.
But just absolutely insane. But yeah, it's such a feel-good moment, and I hope they handle his return with care, and I hope he's okay. But yeah, it was a very nice moment and a complete and total shock.
Yep. So that was the feel-good moment of the night. Let's talk about like a very emotional but on the opposite side of the spectrum part of the night.
Yeah. So we can't bury the lead. The G1 Climax final was A block winner Kota Ibushi versus B block winner Kazuchika Okada, and the match ended via ref stoppage because Ibushi apparently broke his arm. Is that the official injury?
Yep. Broke his arm.
So he was hitting a Phoenix splash, and he hit the ground like a sack of bricks. And it just goes to remind us all how crazy dangerous wrestling is, how much we should appreciate these performers for risking their health night in and night out, how awesome the stunts they pull off are, man, and how slim the margin of error is, because so much can go wrong on everything they do.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But that's the thing. Like, it's a stark reminder of literally any move that these guys do can injure people.
Yeah, man. It's a curse to G1, though. The curse to G1 comes to an end. It started with an injury and it ends with an injury. Bookended by some pretty bad accidents. And, I guess Naito's wasn't an accident so much as, but it kind of seemed like he tweaked it on a specific spot in that match. That's neither here nor there. This was a banger of a match before the incident, but it's a really, really hard wrestling match to rate in the traditional sense, and it's almost stupid to even try. But that's what we do, so we're gonna do it. I would say it was probably 3.5, and it was getting to be way better. But you couldn't call it bad, but yeah, we'll go 3.5 climaxes out of 5 for this final.
Yep.
And you just feel so bad for Kota Ibushi, man. Like, a broken arm could put him out probably. Easily, it could put him out past Wrestle Kingdom, although I bet he's back.
It's Ibushi.
I bet he fights.
It's Ibushi. Yeah. He'll be back by November.
Sadly, I think you're right. But, it was gearing up to be an incredible match. And it wasn't like a Sid-style injury. It wasn't this disgusting, blooper that you're going to see for years. It was kind of like, oh, wow, how did that happen? But he hit the ground so hard that I believe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. All right. So, Okada, after the match, had some very brash comments. And this is where I really wanted to end the show. He said he was the real IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and that winning the G1 means you challenge for the IWGP Heavyweight title and not the IWGP World Heavyweight title. So, obviously, this is a bit of a knock towards Shingo Takagi, who is your World Heavyweight Champ, your IWGP World Heavyweight Champ, and this is also brings Will Ospreay into the mix, because what did we talk about in our first G1 review show? Okada wins, enter stage right Will Ospreay.
Yeah, I can totally see it. I think that kind of puts that all together in a box, just waiting to be delivered on January 4th. I think you're onto something, buddy. But that's very interesting. I hope that they scrap this idea of like a new title lineage and go back to the previous, embrace their history, as it were.
Yeah, agreed 100%. But yeah, so what's interesting here is, like I said, hopefully they can bring in Will Ospreay for Wrestle Kingdom, do something there. Remember, Wrestle Kingdom this year is 3 nights. It's the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th or 8th. It's a weird, there's a gap in the middle.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I actually completely missed that. So that is crazy. That's we're going to see how that ends up. It'll be very interesting to see those 3 shows. So thank you very much to anyone who stuck out this G1 coverage. It was a blast. I think we're going to hopefully make it a yearly thing. We'll see. It's a lot to take on, but I really do enjoy watching the G1. I think we'll do it again next year. Next week on BAM, though, this is the first time in 5 weeks, Boris, that there ain't no G1 to talk about. But I do have a gimmick ready. If we want to spill the beans on that.
Spill the beans.
We're going to go top 10 matches in Halloween Havoc history. Woo! Because, it's the spooky season, and WWE Halloween Havoc will be a couple days removed from that. It's possible that a match sneaks into that top 10 from that show, but I don't think we're in any danger of that happening, Boris.
Braun Breaker with 2 Ks versus Tommaso Ciampa, 5-star classic. Calling it now.
It could be. It could be breaker rules. But yeah, we'll be back next week with some more NFL talk, a little bit of a World Series preview, I'm sure, or perhaps we'll be talking about how the Dodgers are up 3-0 already.
Yeah, you never know what the hell's going to happen with those freaking Dodgers. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Obviously, you go back and listen to NXT Talk. This show was probably the best one of NXT 2.0 that we've seen. Tomorrow we are going to get the Smack Daddies. Actually, later today, if you're listening on the SNME patron feed, or if you're a freeloader, you're going to get the Crown Jewel review from your Smack Daddies in your podcast catcher. And then on Saturday, you're going to also get the Smack Daddy SmackDown review, the Old Fucks Rampage review, and on Sunday, you are getting the Old Fucks coming back, talking some Dynamite.
Oh, so much going on here at SNME Radio and in the wrestling world at large, and thank you very much for keeping it locked here.
And also, one last thing before we go, next week, it is NXT Talk's 1-year anniversary. It's Halloween Havoc. It will be the free show for the week, so tune in. I think we're going to have some fun. I might have some surprises in store for everyone and Matt. He's Matt.
I'm excited. Hopefully we can do that one in person, homie. I'll grab a couple beers.
Oh.
I'm Matt. He's Boris. Yeah.